Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's Software Success. I'm always excited to be here with you and share my love of embroidery with all of you. And you guys, if you've been here before, know me and know how much I love my software. I'm Ashley Jones from Designs and Machine Embroidery, and Software Success is where we talk all things embroidery software. I love to help you guys get the most out of your embroidery software so that you feel like you can use it to its fullest. So, and we always have a fun episode planned, and I'll share that with you in just a bit. But while we're waiting for everyone to join, let's just say hi to see who's out there and where you guys are watching from. So Connie, thanks for being here. Connie, she says happy Mardi Gras from Boise. So I love that. And I love Mardi Gras. So fun fact about Mardi Gras, I'm originally from Alabama, just north of Mobile. And did you guys know that Mobile, Alabama is where the celebration and all of the carnivaling happened to start? So everybody thinks it's New Orleans, but it really started in Mobile, Alabama. But New Orleans just did it bigger and better. So, but happy Mardi Gras to everybody today. And happy day to Judy Rhodes from Pennsylvania. Thank you for being here as well. Laura, always good to see you from Lincoln, Nebraska. And we have So Francie, thanks for being here. Good to see you from Rancho Caguamonga. So I'm horrible with words and names, so hopefully that is it. So and hopefully you still got me here and I didn't lock up. It looks like I'm kind of paused here, so let me just see if we need to do something different here. So oh, there we go. It looks like I caught up with you, and so not sure what happened, but hopefully that was just a minor glitch there. And so okay, so I've got one more thing. Let me check here because this is making me nervous how this is kind of locking up here. So I just wanted to double check that we are in the right place and that you guys can hear me. So I'm just clicking through to see who's watching and who we've got on today. Now I hear an echo. All right. So my screen seems to be locked up, so but it looks like you guys can still hear me. So 1 second, let me try to get that fixed because I can't even see what's going on. Hang on 1 second. Sorry about this. And all right, I'm gonna try a different one here. And let's see here if I can get this. Okay, I think I'm back. I am so sorry. My screen all locked up. I couldn't get it to do anything. So we got to love technology, right? And so I think that we are back and set. So everybody keep their fingers crossed that everything is good. So, all right. So we were just saying hi to everyone. As always, I recognize tons of names. And I think probably after that little mishap, we probably had everybody join us. So thanks for being here, everyone. So Reen Wilcoxon, you guys know her here from Embroidery Gardens. Thanks for being here, Laurie. You guys know Laurie. She's part of our education team. So just lots of people I recognize. Today's topic I have planned was actually at a special request. So last week we got a request for working with TrueType fonts and downloading them. And I thought I would coordinate that with this week for Eileen. And so let me share my screen here and we'll see our topic. Since we had a little snafu there, we'll go ahead and get started so I don't hold you guys up. So today we're going to talk about how to do a split applique. And I'm actually going to download and install a TrueType font so that you can see exactly how this works. So you can understand how they work and install them in your software. And I use a TrueType font to create the mama and split that. And then I used a TrueType font for the text in between the two letters as well. So I'll show you how I created that. Now this applique process, we're going to talk about how to split it. And then we're using the TrueType fonts in that process. And then I'm going to show you about changing finishing stitches, which we've talked about before. But I feel like it doesn't hurt to say that as many times as possible, right? Because the more we do it, the more we learn. Now, to stitch out an applique, join Eileen this Thursday. She's actually going to be talking about meaningful applique, which I definitely think our topic today is, with the mama and the kids' names between there. But she's got tips and tricks on applique. So join her this Thursday at 1 p.m. Central for kind of the learning process of stitching out the applique. So, okay, so let's get started with our design here in our software and see exactly how we can create this. And then as always, each of the features that I'm using, I'll tell you where these features are coming from and which software you can find them in. So let's head over to our software. And this was something I was working on a bit ago. And so this is what we're going to be working on here. So that's what I will be creating with you guys step by step. But first, let's go and grab a font and show you how to install it. Okay. So now when you're searching for fonts, then I usually just search for free TrueType fonts. And I am not by any means endorsing any of these sites because you need to do your research. And so you can scroll down through here looking for TrueType fonts. Now, I will also say I'm going to use this one, DeFont. I do like this one because I can, search different fonts, but I can also write a name in one of these fonts. And then when I do the submit here, I can see that exact name in that text. And then that allows me to choose a text that I know is going to look like what I want it to. But also here, note, these say for personal use, a lot of them, and if there's commercial use or if they're 100% free. So please, please, please read that detail on the fonts. People that design fonts and designs, I mean, they spend a ton of time creating these types of designs for us to use. And so they really do deserve credit for these type things. So I'm going to just go back here and go back to our original page here at the beginning. And then you can look for themes. You can look for, like the top ones, whatever you want. And then again, you can put in your name here. Again, this is only one site. There's plenty of others to choose from. And then you can see exactly what this font is going to look like. And actually, I think that one is actually kind of cute. So it says for personal use. So I'm going to download it and install it. And I need to understand that I can only use this for creating, personal projects. So just be mindful of the licensing agreements when you're downloading these types of things. Okay. So I downloaded the font and it goes to my download folder. So, and I just click here in my download to open that. So here's my font and I'm going to extract it so that it will unzip. so that I can get to the files. Now, usually when you download TrueType fonts, this one is actually an open font, a OTF instead of a TTF, which will still work, but do understand when you are using these type fonts, not every one of them is going to be good for embroidery. When we give you fonts built into the software, they have been pre-digitized, but let's see how to install this. So this works the same exact way as it does with a TrueType font, or in this case, this open font here. And so if I double click it, I get this screen in Windows and it says, do I want to print this or install it? So I want to install it. And then it will install on my page, and it's done. It'll install on my computer, and you can see that right here, the install is grayed out. That's because it did the work already. I don't have to do anything else but close all this stuff out, okay? Now, when I go into my font list, let's start a new page, and hopefully it'll show up in here. Sometimes it shows up. Sometimes I have to reboot my software, but hopefully this is going to show up. And remember, the name of ours was Straw Milky, I think it was called. So it's going to put it in that order. So I'm going to choose my text tool and click on the workspace. And then over here in my properties area, I'm going to select the TT, and that will let me select from all of the TrueType fonts on my computer. So I'm going to scroll down here. It usually installs it with the exact name. And so I'm just scrolling down to look for that font, and you can see here it says Straw Milky, okay? Now, this is automatically converting this to satin stitch, and it actually is a great example for me to start with for you. Look at how the text, I'm going to change it to a little bit different color. So look here how the text has this really weird area here because of how it auto-digitized. That's what I mean by not every font is going to come in perfect. Now, if you have Perfect Embroidery Pro, you can actually edit that and correct it. But if you don't have a way to change that, then you might just want to switch to a different font. Okay, so just remember, TrueType fonts are not all going to work for embroidery. You've got to use your best judgment. But we, when we give you built-in fonts, they're going to work for embroidery. Okay, so for this one, instead of satin right here, I actually need an artwork font because we're going to slice this in half. Okay, and I'm going to put Mama, and we're going to see if this is going to work. If not, we'll use the font that I used in my example here. Okay, so here's my text, and if I go over, this is a 4-inch tall. Now, to split this and put it on a shirt, I need it to be fairly large so that I can split this in half and we can still tell what it's saying. So I'm going to make this, let's just say like an 8 inches wide, and then I'm going to make it taller. So I'm going to uncheck the maintain aspect ratio, and I'm going to put in, let's say 3 inches and see what that looks like. And you can see that it stretches it now unproportionately, but if I'm going to slice it in half, this is kind of what I need, right? I need something tall and kind of skinnier. Okay, so now what we've done so far is we installed a TrueType or an OpenType font, and then we've added that onto our workspace just through our text tool, and we've typed our text. Okay, so hopefully everybody's good up from there. So, and I see that somebody is already asking what software am I using? So this is all of my features in one place in my embroidery tool shed. And the features that I'm using today are in several different programs, and I'm going to tell you in just a bit which ones I used, okay? So now, here is a trick that you can use to get a straight cut in across the text here. So I'm going to go up to my toolbar or my ruler bar here, and right mouse click on the ruler and say center origin. So the reason that I chose this is look up here. It puts my design exactly at 0 and 0 over here on my ruler bar on the left. You see my cursor blinking? Okay, so the reason I do that is because we're about to slice this in half. And if I can follow along this 0 area, or turn your grid on to also help you drag across that, you'll get a straight cut. Okay, so that's just a tip for getting a straight cut. So now the next thing we need to do is we need to break up this text. If I go over to my sequence view here and push the plus, this is a text object. When I have a text object selected, my knife tool or my slice tool right here is grayed out. Okay. I can slice artwork, but this is a text object, even though it's still artwork. So we need to break this up so that it is just seen by the program as an artwork object. So I'm going to right mouse click and choose break up text. So now if we look over here in our sequence view and I push the plus, you can see that it's a type artwork. So this is now an artwork object instead of a text object. Now, if you want to go back and change your text from mama to mom or to dad, you need to do all of that before you break up text, because now when I select this, notice that I don't have my text object here or my text option here in my properties area. Let's do the undo. And that's going to put it back to a text object so I can actually show you the difference. So now with a text object selected, I can easily change my text. But once I break this up, then these are seen as separate artwork objects, every letter. Okay, so let's do an undo, go back to our mama, and then we're going to break this one up. So I right mouse click, break up text. Okay, now after I've broken them up, you can see that they are 4 separate letters at this point, and I can now use my knife tool. Okay, so the way that the knife tool works is you select an artwork object, and then you click the slice tool, and then you just make your cut. And from here, you can make it anywhere. I'm actually going to do this at an angle so we can see it. And then when I release that, that is my cut mark. Okay. And so now I can break up the text, and now I can separate those pieces. Now I need to put my A back in place here and combine those two. But you can see I can separate these two pieces. So let me do an undo and show you across all of the letters. So I'm going to do undo one more time so that I just have all of my letters the same. And this breakup right here, or whenever I sliced this and I did the breakup, that's why it separated out the center part of my letter. So if I do break up without the cut, you can see that I have the separate centerpiece for my A. And so if I select them again and click combine, then it will make sure that the center part is cut out of my A. Okay, so now that we've got 4 separate artwork objects, I don't want to have to slice each one separately. So if I combine all of them, just like we just saw, this actually puts this all together as one artwork. So now instead of individual letters, I've got the word mama as one artwork object. So now we can actually slice through all of these at once. Okay, so I've got that selected, select my knife tool, and I'm going to go down here and put my knife on my letter right at 0. And you can see how it's pulling across the letter, but because they're combined, I can actually go across all of these letters. And now my grid is helping me make sure that I get a nice straight cut right across those letters. Okay, so I've sliced it. Now I need to break it up in order to separate my 2 halves. So I'm going to use my breakup icon, and now I've got the top half and the lower half of my letters. Okay, so now just to make sure all of these stay together, I'm going to select all of the top half, and I'm going to combine those back together. And you can see here that it brings my A back, but I'm also going to do the same thing with the bottom. Okay, so select and combine. So then now I have 2 separate objects that I can just separate. Okay, pretty easy, right? Now, to convert these to applique, then I'm going to choose my objects here. And some of you might have the applique icon on your toolbar. If you have Perfect Embroidery Pro, it'll be down here in your effects panel. Or you can right mouse click and convert to applique. Now I don't have applique because I've already converted to it. So now I can convert to these others. But you can see now I've got an applique object, 2 of them actually, my top and my bottom. So, and I actually kind of looked at that font actually worked out, really well. Okay. So now let's do the text in between here, and we're going to use a TrueType font that I already have installed, and we can see kind of the difference of making it already a satin stitch. stitch. Okay. So I'm going to turn off my grid. I feel like when I'm showing all of you, it's a little distracting, but I usually turn it off and on as I need it, but you can leave it on all the time. It's up to you. Okay. So let's choose our text tool again, click on the workspace. And for this, I'm going to use TrueType font again. And then from my list here, I'm going to look for a font that I know I have. This font is called I Love Glitter. This is also a TrueType font, and it is a on that same site. So I'm going to just do my I for I Love Glitter and then click apply. And you can see I've got one letter there, and I'm going to type in the kids' names here. So Emma and Brody. Okay, and then click apply. And there we've got the text here in the center. Now, this text is kind of skinny. If I zoom in, I'll give you another tip here. If I change to my metric, I can measure those stitches. So then I click over here on my ruler tool, and then I can actually measure the width of that satin. And that is about 1.5 millimeters width. That's a very narrow stitch. So here's a tip from our friend Deborah Jones. And so Deborah taught me to beef up your text. An easy way to do this is to adjust the push and pull. And so here I've got the choice of doing a percentage or an absolute. And whichever one you select, then you'll enter in a measurement. So for this, let's just do a 1/2 millimeter. So I'm going to do 0.5 and just see what that does to me. So watch my text here on the screen. Let me zoom in for you. So we can see what happens. Whenever you increase this number, so instead of a percentage, I'm going to do absolute here and click the 0.5 and click apply. And you can see how it fattened that text up because it's actually compensating for the pull of the stitches in your fabric. And we usually adjust that a lot of times based on what fabric we're using. But if you just need to beef up a text because it just seems too skinny, that's a really a simple way to do it. And so it's kind of like a hack. So to speak. And so I'm going to zoom out and see kind of what that looks like. And I'm looking kind of at each letter just to make sure making that thicker didn't make something, you know, kind of strange. And I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to select everything and I'm going to use distribute vertically so that it spaces everything out evenly. And then I'm also going to use my horizontal align here to make sure that everything is straight. So, and that's pretty cool and pretty easy and pretty fast, right? And then I took it a step further to actually select my applique. And over here, this little tab called fabrics, or you might have this icon on your toolbar, depending on which program you have. But you can click on the fabrics and you can actually audition fabrics. And you guys know, if you have seen us here, I absolutely love using Caesar Glitter HTV in an applique because it rips away and makes it fun and fast. So I'll just add that just to kind of fill it in. But isn't that adorable? Okay, so now we're going to answer some questions, but whenever I come back here, I'm actually going to tell you how to, because this was a question that came up about special characters that come with fonts. So I'm going to show you how to change those out as well. And then we're going to change the different applique finishing stitch when we come back. So, okay, so let's go and see if we've got any questions. And so Linda Johnson says, can I use the knife tool on embroidery? Yes, you can use the knife tool on some of your embroidery stitches. When you select the stitch and choose the design, you'll be able to know if it will work, if it lights up. So, and it looks like I am like frozen again. I don't know what's going on. So hopefully you guys can still hear me. I'm going to check with our director here so that I can see. So over and I can't even check there. So, but okay, so I will, let's see here if I can. Excellent. Oh, there we are. Oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on here. So let me get my comments back here. I am so sorry. I'm going to try not to touch too many things because obviously the computer's not happy with me today. So, okay. And then Laura, thank you. We can see you and hear you. So my screen froze and I couldn't even like scroll through the comments or anything. And so let me scroll back here and I'm going to try to not click on hardly anything. And so Linda Johnston, I was just answering, yes, you can use the knife tool on stitches. And so when you do like a complex fill and have it selected, you can see your knife tool light up. And so just when you select the object, just do one object at a time, and then you can test it over there and see if it lights up, you'll be able to slice it. That's the nice thing about our icons is when you select the different object, it turns on or activates the icons that you can apply to what you have selected. So that's something good to know. And then what software am I using? So Peter asked about the software program. So I'm in Embroidery Toolshed, but I'm using font or features from a variety of different Dime software. And I have a page that I will show you which tools come from which program so that you'll understand if there's any that you want to purchase or if you maybe already have those tools. So we'll talk about that. And then the other question I see here is, do you ever have to worry about viruses? Oh, absolutely. And so, yes, when you're downloading things from the internet, then yes, be careful. I use that Defont site and then a couple of other sites that are reputable. You could always search and see if things are reputable by, asking that question on the internet, ask a friend if they've used it. But yeah, absolutely be cautious about where you get stuff. And again, I can't reiterate enough to please be mindful of the licenses for using different designs. So whether it's artwork designs or embroidery designs, people that make a business out of that, they spend a lot of time creating them. So, and you guys that create your own designs understand as well. So, and then Sandra says, explain the difference between the OTF and the TrueType font. So the OTF stands for open type font and the TrueType font is the TTF. The computer sees them all in one list. I will be honest with you, I don't know the technical details between the two. If anybody else does, feel free to make a comment in the chat. But they work the same as far as you're concerned with your software. You download, install, whether it's a TTF or an OTF extension, and they install in the software the same exact way. So, and I'll make sure to do some research on that so I know that answer for next time. So that's how we learn, right? Okay, so I was just looking through. I don't see any other questions here. Thank you guys for commenting, the ones that said, can you hear me and see me? Because like I said, I don't know why this keeps locking up, but I am glad that it's working for you guys to be able to see me. Okay, so, and then Laura says, which software is the knife tool in? And so Laura, I'll actually bring that up whenever I bring up my chart that shows the different features in each of the software. But I currently, I can 100% tell you it's in a Perfect Embroidery Pro. That's the one I use the most, but I'll pull up my list because I can't always remember every tool in every software. And then Marianne says, what is the font you used in the sample that has the heart in the center? I'm going to show you that coming up. It's actually that same font. I love glitter. And it's just a cute little addition to little element to your font that's included with that font. So I'll show you how to use that. So, and then Shazia Rosary said, out of the topic, but please do a lesson on the recent. And oh, I will. So In the Hoop is so new at this time. I wanted to wait until more people had the opportunity to find out about it. And we will definitely do a lesson. You guys know I always do a lesson on every one of our programs, and we certainly will be doing a lesson on that as well. So, and then Dawn from Creative Appliques, I see that she answered questions on on the TrueType font and the OTF, so the OpenType and the TrueType font. So thank you so much, Dawn. I knew that somebody out there would probably know. So she says the OTF is more advanced format, and it's designed to enable more functions than the TrueType font. So, and then OT has the format and capable of storing 65,000 characters. Oh my goodness. So thank you for sharing that. But for you guys in your software, it works the same way, whether it's OTF or TrueType font for the install. So thanks, Dawn. I appreciate that. So, okay, so let's go back over to the software. And let's answer Marianne's question about that heart in the center. And then I'm also going to change the different design, different finishing stitch around the font. Okay. So on this applique, when you have an applique object, and when I keep saying an object and giving it a name, over in your sequence view area, if I push the plus key here, do you see how I have an applique, and I have a text object? So the that's what I'm referring to. So this is an object of type applique, and we can do applique type things to an applique object, like adding fabric. We can also change the different types of finishing stitch. And look at this long list. And this is a combination of several of our software programs that give you different types of finishing stitches here. So for instance, like this marrow stitch we use for patches, and it's a finishing stitch around an applique, and that's part of the Patch and Applique Maker software. And I'm going to just switch it to a motif stitch here, because I wanted to point out something that that you guys might like to know that you didn't already, maybe you didn't already know. And I'm going to change this to black so we can see it on that orange. So right mouse click, so then you can see the stitches down here on the orange. And I'm going to zoom in so that we can really focus on this letter. So the motif stitches are decorative stitches that kind of look like, you know, your decorative stitches on your sewing machine. So you can select from a really long list here to give you a really cool effect around your applique. Well, I keep clicking and that goes away there. And so it just is like a different type of decorative stitch around your applique. And you can adjust the size of these stitches. Now I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom because we have gotten several requests for a chain stitch. People have been asking. And so that motif has been added to the software if you didn't realize it. And I can change the pattern length here so that it's closer together and gives you that decorative stitch around the edge of your applique. Also, another one that I love that's been in here forever that you may have not realized is like the candle wicking stitch. So when I click apply, it gives you that cute little candle wicking around the edge there. And so I'm going to zoom out and then let's select with our select tool the applique object that's on the top. And then I'm going to choose the same thing here. So you also have the option to do tackle twill. We get that question sometimes. I'm also going to change this to black just so we can see it. Okay. So tackle twill is like your open satin stitch or zigzag stitch, you might call it. Your E-stitch is what we call the buttonhole or the blanket stitch. And in our software, it's called an E-stitch. Now, here's something I want to point out about the E-stitch. Now, you can see that it is a little bit away from the edge. When I'm doing things that the raw edge is going to show through like this, I like to change my settings over here. The inset, I make it 100, which is going to line that up with the edge of my raw edge applique. Let me zoom in so you can see that. Okay, so you see how that lines it up with the edge. But do you see that stitch in the inside? That is my tack down stitch. And if I'm going to see this, I don't want to see that extra stitch. So I actually would line that up as well. And that's the tack down settings over here in your applique. And I'm going to set that to 0 so that it lines up under my stitch. Now that's just a personal preference on my part. You certainly could set it to whatever you want. And then stitch length, you can also adjust that. So you can make that shorter or longer and make your stitches closer together if you like, by adjusting those settings there. But let's look at some of the other ones here. So not just E-stitch, but the motif, there are symbols. And when you choose symbol, you have a drop down list. And these are little bitty designs that you can use to decorate the edge of your stitch. And the same thing here, I can adjust this if I don't want them to be so big. I can make them smaller. Oh my gosh, is that cute? Those little ants. Now, if you don't know what these look like, I do know some of them because I've used enough of them to know. But if I click this options button here, it'll open up the image library so I can actually see what these look like. And I can choose any one of them. So like, let's choose, let's just do this arrow. And you can see that it puts it all around the stitch. You can actually flip it too. If I click the flip option and click apply, then you can see now my arrows point out. Now that actually looks kind of cool. I didn't plan that, but just worked out in our favor. But any of these settings here are related to an applique. Remember I said when you have an applique object selected, your settings here in the properties area are related to that applique object. So, and now I'm going to zoom out here. And look, that's kind of cool. The only thing I don't like is this area here. You can see for the A that it actually it's, you know, it really overlaps and things like that. So maybe I would go back to a regular one, but play with these. I love a run stitch applique sometimes. So you can have run stitch, you can have it be a bean stitch. And so you choose the type of finishing stitch you want from this list. Now my list includes every software that I own that has an applique option. So your list may be shorter than mine because it depends on which programs you own. Okay, so just so you know that. But if you have the ability to create applique, you do have some of these options built into your software. And I'm going to tell you which ones have the ability to do applique as well. So, and because I'm a little bit A-type personality, it will bug me if I don't have these two matching one another. So I'm going to make this be a candle wicking stitch and then change it to the same size around my applique. Okay. And then, you know, the color, change your color to whatever you want it to be. If you want it to match whatever you need it to be. Okay. So now let's talk about this text here. Remember, this is a text object. I use TrueType text. When I have it selected, you can see that I have the ability to uncheck the TrueType, and I can go back to my built-in fonts, and I can select from my different built-in fonts to use, or if I click the TT, it actually switches to my TrueType font list. Okay, so TrueType font list, and for TrueType font, depending on the software that you own, I have the ability to convert a TrueType font to a satin, which is what it's doing now, an artwork, a bling stroke, or a bling fill. Okay, so those bling are rhinestones if you have cut and stitch. Now, a note, again, I cannot say this enough. I'm going to zoom in to this font here. And when you use a TrueType font and your software automatically converts it to satin, again, you may have some areas that are undesirable and it may not digitize exactly how a professional digitizer would do. And here's a couple of examples here. So do you see how my stitches are kind of angled here? They're starting to angle in to meet this area here where you've split the stitch. And that actually looks pretty good, but I just wanted to show you that some of that can get to where it doesn't look great. So look close up at your font. People that digitize fonts have a particular skill set that they digitize these fonts to stitch out beautifully. And when the software is converting it automatically, it's not a human doing it that can look at it. And so just double check your font. Not every TrueType font is going to convert beautifully to embroidery. Okay, so just so you are aware. Now let's do that heart that Marianne was asking about in the center. So this particular font, when you download it, it has special characters, and I'm going to go to my character map here that's on my computer. We actually briefly talked about this, I think, last episode or a couple of episodes ago. So on Windows, if you just do a search for character map, on Mac, it's called character viewer, I think, if I remember correctly, so that you can select these different specialty kind of letters. Okay, so now if you look in here, there's all kinds of specialty letters And there's also little specialty characters that you can use. So for instance, this one right here, if I select it, you can see that it is that heart filled in the center. But here's a heart that is not filled in. Another one that I like from this particular set is this little kind of like extended line here on the end, and this one here. So when I select this, I'm going to, let's do the heart one first. So I'm going to select the heart and I'm going to click select, and it puts it in this box. And then I say copy, and it copies it to my clipboard so that I can go over here to my software and I can paste it. So I'm going to get rid of the and I'm going to just paste the what I just copied. And you can see that it shows up just like this in my software. And when I click apply, it actually changes to the shortcut character. Do you see that? So now it has an underscore. Now I wanted these to connect, so I actually just removed the space between Emma and Brody, and I left the underscore, which underscore means that it's pulling this character, and I'm going to click apply, and it puts it all together in a row. And I still have a space in front of Brody, so I'm going to correct that. Okay, so is that not the cutest? Now that heart, I could put it on the end or the beginning or wherever. So if I put my underscore at the end of Brody and at the beginning of Emma and click apply, then you can see that I've got hearts on either end. But what I did, let's go back. Now remember, search for your character map and it'll open this up. And then you're going to choose the type of font that you're using from the drop-down list. I'm using the one called I Love Glitter. And then let's choose this one here on the end. And it tells me as I hover over it that this is the left square bracket is the shortcut key. When I hover over this one, it says the low line, which I call the underscore, is the shortcut key to get to that. So if you remember that, you don't have to go to these every time, but honestly, I don't use it enough to remember. So this is the left square bracket. So I can do the same thing. I can select it. Now we've already copied this, so I'm going to get rid of it. And I'm just going to say copy, go over to my software and click to paste. And you can see what that looks like. And I'm going to click apply, and it adds that little line there at the end. Now, when it's talking about square bracket left and right, that is on my keyboard under my brackets key. And I'm going to go and do the same thing in the front. So now I can just type it from my keyboard, and I'm going to do the beginning one and the ending one because that's kind of how it was designed to be. And then click apply, and then it'll add those. Now you can see how this one lines up with my end of my font there. So, and then I'm going to double click, and that brings everything into focus. And now if I select everything, I can do the same thing that we did earlier. I can align center and make sure everything's evenly distributed. So isn't that cute? And then I'll zoom in here. So if you have a font that you download that has special characters, you can use those in that manner using the character map. And most often the designer will tie some sort of keyboard stroke to some of those special characters that you might want to use. And you can use them in this manner. So what do you guys think? Isn't that cool? Okay, so now let's answer some questions, and then I'm going to go back. I'm going to do the whole thing all over again, but I'm going to show you how quickly, if you practice at your software, that you can be. So let me see if we've got any questions over here, and hopefully I can switch over without anything freezing up. And so, and then Marianne, she said, oh my gosh, the option for the finishing stitch are so awesome and unbelievable. Yes, there are so many different ones that you can choose from in the software to make sure that you get the look that you're going for. So, and again, for whatever reason, my screen is locked up, so I'm hoping you guys can still hear me, but I see Linda Johnson is saying that she appreciates being reminded of how many options are in the software. Linda, there's so many that we certainly could not go over all of them, right? All the time. So, and then Callie Henderson says that does the character map work for, oh, and I just lost it because my screen finally got caught up. And so Callie said, does the character map work for all of the software? So the character map is actually a Windows feature. And so it's actually so that you can get to those specialty characters, like when you're looking for a registration mark, or when you're trying to put an accent over your E and you may not have an international keyboard in order to do that. So the character map is actually a Windows feature. And then on Mac, it's called Character Viewer, so that you can view all those specialty characters for all of these fonts that live on your computer. So just understand, character map is not a part of any Dime software. It is a Windows and a Mac feature for you to access those specialty characters. And so, yes, when you access those specialty characters and you say copy it, you can paste those characters into any program that will allow you to paste. So it doesn't have to be Dime software. It might be your Windows, maybe it's Microsoft Word or Excel, or maybe you're working on a PowerPoint, or you need to type that feature into your web browser. So you can use that character map to get to those specialty characters that are part of your fonts. So yeah, and it's not a software feature from us, but it does work with all of our Dime software as well. So, and she said, I can hear you. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sherry. Yes, I don't know why it's keeping locking up, but I am so thankful that we're able, you guys are still able to hear me each time it does do that. So, okay, so then Bet, hey Bet, my friend Bet from Arizona, she said, how would you align the left bracket together with Emma? So, Bet, wouldn't you know that you'd ask something like that? So, but hey, where there's a will, there's a way. So let me head back over here and we'll answer that question there. So it is your text tool is the easiest way to do it. So let's just talk about your text tool versus your select tool. I've told you guys this numerous times, but in case we have some newbies out there, your select tool here is different from your text select tool or your text tool. Okay, so when you have your select tool selected and you click on an object, you can see I've got these same shapes around. But if I select with my text tool, that allows me to enter new text, but it also allows me to select the text that's already on the screen and look at all these different shapes that I have around it. Okay, so those different shapes will allow you to adjust your text. So here I can adjust the kerning between these two. And I can line those up just like that. So maybe it's a kerning thing. And let me zoom in here. Or if it turns out it's not a kerning thing, you can also just move this entire shape or text. So let me go back to my text tool. And so these diamonds allow me to select one individual letter, and I'm going to zoom out a smidge here. If I did not have this specialty character, you can see how I'm able to select each letter, but this is also part of the text, so I can select just that, and I can move this to wherever I want it to be. Now, I can line that up just like that so that there's a little bit of overlap. And I think that that's great. That little few satin stitches there that are overlapping are not going to cause any stitch out issues. So that's how I would line that up. Choose your text tool and then select your text and then just select that one individual object and then you can move it, wherever you want. So what if you wanted to do like a cute little swoop-de-swoo under the name? So I don't even know if that's a word, swoop-de-swoo. And so you could actually do something like that if you wanted underneath your text. So isn't that cool? I love being able to manipulate all these things in our embroidery software. So you can just kind of make whatever you want to make, right? Okay, and then Vicky said, which programs do Appliqué? That's coming up here in just a second. And then how do I get to the character map? So Sherry, on your Windows computer, search character map. On your Mac computer, I think it's called Character Viewer, that you will search to locate your character map. So just search it and it will come up. I honestly cannot even tell you where it's located at on my computer because I always just search it and then I click whenever it finds the character map. And then what did you click on to get the special line before and under the name? So the special line is part of that exact font. So the special line, if you go to your character map, you can look for that and then copy and paste it. But it was the bracket, the open square bracket that allowed me to do that. I can't zoom into that on my software, but hopefully you guys can see that. But those square black brackets that are on your keyboard, is what gave me the line on the left and the right. And I did the open one and the closed one on the opposite end. Okay. So now that we've got that, let's do that one more time, because I know that was a lot. And this time I'm going to do it quicker so that you can see the entire process, how quick this can happen, the more you learn your software. And then I'm going to tell you where all these features come from, because we're about to go over them again. Okay, so let's go text. I'm going to add it to my workspace, and I'm just going to say mama. This is pulling from my regular font, so I'm going to click to do TrueType fonts. And for mama, remember I wanted a bold one. This time I'm going to use the impact, because impact is the one that I used in the ad. And then I want it to be artwork. So click artwork and apply. Okay. Now I know this is going quickly, but we've already done this at a slower pace. So you can rewatch this as many times as you want. So now I am switching to inches, so I can put in, let's just do like an 8-inch, and I'm going to maintain aspect ratio there. And then I'm going to right mouse click on the ruler bar, center origin. Okay. And then now we're going to draw our cut line across. But remember, we want to break up text, because right now this is a text object. So I want to right click, break up text. And then I want to combine these all together, because right now they're 4 separate objects. So I click combine, and that makes one artwork object that I can slice from left to right. Okay. So I select my object, choose my knife tool. I'm going to tell you where that comes from in just a bit. Starting at the 0 here, I can line up my cursor and then drag it across, and then I can watch my ruler bar there so that I know that I'm straight. So I'm getting it right back to the 0. And when I click, hold, and drag, it slices. And then once it's sliced, I need to do breakup to separate the 2 pieces. Okay. Now the top piece here is all one piece. So here, because I didn't have to combine this, I did not have to worry about the center of my letter A, because it cut. So this is a different scenario here, but you can either combine this or group it, whichever works for you. If you've got a hole that you need to maintain in your letter, combine is what you want to use. Okay. So now I've got 2 halves. Let's convert those to applique. I'm going to select everything on the screen, right mouse click, convert to applique. Okay. And so now everything's in applique. Now for our text in the middle, we're going to go to our text tool, click on the screen. I'm going to type my text, Emma, and Brody, and then click apply. Now to use my TrueType font, I'm going to click the TrueType. I'm going to leave this set to convert it to satin, and I'm going to choose this font from my list. It's called I Love Glitter. It is a TrueType font that I downloaded onto my computer. Okay. And then remember, this is really skinny. So the thing that I did was I chose to increase my push-pull by a 0.5 millimeter to just kind of beef that up a little bit. Okay. Now, if you wanted the heart in between, remember that's the character. And so I had to choose my character map and locate that. So, and then I'm going to line everything up. 2 clicks to make everything perfectly straight and centered. I'm going to distribute and center. And then now we've got a completely different design. Isn't that cool? And now this is really ready to stitch out, and you can take it to your embroidery machine or send it to your embroidery machine if you have a Brother or Baby Lock wireless. Okay. So now let me tell you one additional thing here about combine versus group. Okay. So let me start a new workspace, and then let's just do the mama, but we're going to do mom this time. And I'm going to choose this to be artwork and click apply. Okay. And then let's choose a fat font. Okay. So now here's what I want to tell you about combine versus group in this instance here. So let's slice this one. You're going to see it all over again. I'm just making it bigger so that I've got plenty of room for my applique. And then I'm going to center origin. So I've got it 0 and 0. Okay. I need to break up text, and I need to combine those into one to slice everything. I could slice them individually, but I just want to show you this one more time because this is a different subject. Okay. So let's slice it. Now, do I have to slice it on 0? I don't. I mean, I can slice across there. So if I do my undo key, and I do slice. Maybe I want to go from this corner over here to, oh, I undid, look, it's only slicing one letter. So let me do undo because I've got 3 separate objects here. So let me select everything and combine again, and then choose my cut, go from corner to corner now. Okay. So you can slice anywhere. Okay. So there's my slice. Now I break it up. Now here's the thing I want to show you about combine versus, the ungroup and the group. Okay. So here's my 2 separate pieces. Now that, I don't know why I didn't do that before. That's actually super cute, is it not? And I can put the names on an angle. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So now what I want to show you is that if I group these together and then group these together, okay, and then I convert both of these to an applique, right mouse click, convert to an applique. Watch what happens. Okay, so let's watch our slow redraw, and I'm going to watch that stitch out. So I'm getting a placement stitch and a tack down line for every single piece of this text. Okay, now even though that was cute, I don't love this right here. Okay, right. And so that's why we have software. That's why I can play. It was a cute split, but I don't love that right there. So I probably would play around with it a little bit. Okay, but I'm getting a placement stitch for the M and then the O and then this M. But what I really would prefer, if I'm going to use all of the same fabric, I would prefer that it do all of the placement stitches and then all of the tack down stitches. Okay, so here, if I combine this, that's what happens. Now let's watch this stitch out. Let's combine that one too. So because I think it stitched out first. Okay, so now I'm going to get all of the placement stitches for the bottom one and then all of the tack down, so I can put one big piece of fabric and then all of the finishing stitches there. So that's just a little bonus tidbit of information that if you have applique letters in this instance and you want them to stitch out all with one fabric, then combine the applique so that it is one object, and then it'll stitch all placements, all tack downs, and then all of your finishing stitches at one time. So huge time saver. So, okay, so now let's go over and see where these features come from, and then we will be talking about what you'll see next. Okay, so the knife tool is in PEP, Cut and Stitch, Special Effects. So those 3 software, if you look at my list there, all of the features that we use to make that split applique with the TrueType fonts in the center, all of those features are in PEP, Cut and Stitch, and Special Effects. Okay, so if you have any one of those 3, you can do exactly what I did today. All of the features are available in those programs. If you don't have one of those 3, then here are other programs that have those features. So TrueType text as an artwork file like we did with Mama and we sliced it. PEP, Word Art and Stitches, My Lace Maker, Cut and Stitch, and Special Effects. TrueType text to a satin stitch like we did with the I Love glitter font with the names in the middle. That is Word Art and Stitches, PEP, Cut and Stitch, Special Effects. And then the breakup text, which we need to be able to use the knife tool, is in that same 3 that have the knife, which is fitting, right? Because we need to do that to use the knife. So PEP, Cut and Stitch, Special Effects. The combine option, where you can use that to for your applique. You can also use that with embroidery objects. That combine feature is in nearly every dime program higher than the Embroidery Toolshed Plus. So you can see the list there. And then to be able to turn an object into an applique, we've got that in PEP, My Quilt Embellisher, Patch and Applique Maker, Cut and Stitch, Special Effects, and in the Hoop software, which, yes, we will be doing Software Success on that in the future. So, okay, so I see we have another question here. And let's see what we've got here. And so Joanne Banco, thanks for joining, Joanne from Let's Go Sew. She said, do you ever find yourself changing the tack down to a zigzag? I absolutely do, especially on patches, freestanding applique. If I pre-cut, then I love to have the zigzag stitch for the tack down. And that is an option in your settings for your applique. That's a great question, Joanne. If I'm just doing regular applique on, you know, t-shirt, sweatshirt, I prefer the run stitch in that situation, but if you like a zigzag, and I do in certain instances, you can change that as well. So great question. So, okay, so I think I covered everything. If anybody came in late, you can always go back and rewatch this presentation. It lives on our YouTube channel under our Software Success playlist. So you can get to all past Software Success, and you can rewatch it and learn. But hopefully you guys learned something. This was, like I said, part of a special request from a viewer last week, and I honestly can't remember who asked. I apologize, but I like to do things that you guys want to see. So if there's ever something you want to see, just ask, and I'll try to incorporate it into our presentation. So, okay, in 2 weeks, because we're here every first and third Tuesday. So in 2 weeks, I will be back here, and we will be talking about piecing in the hoop and creating a custom quilting design. So this cute little carrot mug rug I created in our software, that's My Block Piecer, that allow you to piece in the hoop. And you can also cut and make this if you just want to cut out your pieces with your rotary cutter, if you have an AccuQuilt die cutter. And then I'm going to show you how you can create custom quilting designs for something like this as well. So join me back here March the 18th, 1 p.m. Central, and I will talk about creating a piece in the hoop and then also a custom quilting design to go on top of that. And don't forget to join Eileen this Thursday, and this Thursday on her Between Friends Facebook Live, and she's going to be talking about stitching out applique, and she's got some other really fun inspiration to share with you guys as well. So, and then Rob, I see over here, says that he can never get the knife to work. So Rob, you've got to have one single object selected, and it has to be an object that you can use the knife tool on, like artwork or a fill stitch. If it doesn't highlight, then that means you have something selected you cannot slice. So select one object at a time, and start with an artwork, and then you can see what it's supposed to look like whenever it is selected. So, and as always, I just wanted to share, if you do not have our software, some of the ones that I was using today, you can try any of our dime software over in that shopping area in the bottom right. You can try them for free. It puts it in a demo mode, and you can play with the features. So you can follow along with my presentation if you change to a software that has the features that we were talking about today. Follow along. You just can't save it. So if you like it and you want to purchase it, first and foremost, check with your local dealer, or maybe they're not local, maybe they're your favorite dealer, that one that you travel to and love to support. But check your favorite brick and mortar store that carries our dime product and inquire about our software. So we love to support our local dealers. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for them, right? And so check with them. But if you don't have one near, then certainly you can check our website and purchase any of our dime programs there as well. So either way, play with it. Get familiar with it on the free version if you want, and then decide which ones you want to make a purchase. So, all right, guys. So I hope that you enjoyed this Software Success, and thank you so much for being patient with the technical difficulties. That'll be something I have to work on to figure out what's going on, but I appreciate all of you and your patience, and thank you so much for joining me today for this Software Success, and I will see you in a couple of weeks back here on March the 18th. Have a good day.